it's Kris.
And I'm Wyatt, Elliott from Notebook Entertainment.
And you're watching Horrorland News. Right, so we've had a fun week. We saw some movies and stuff. We'll have a review for Black Panther out. I know that's not interesting to the horror fans, but if you're here for the pop culture... that was a really good movie, though.
Yeah.
And at one point, I forgot that this is how much horror we've been watching lately. There was one point where one of my favorite characters gets punched in the chest, and I literally shouted out, no, because I thought his heart was about to get ripped out, and I was like, no, wait, we're at a Marvel movie, that's not going to happen.
Right. But it could have punched him so hard his heart stopped.
Or something, but you heard me shout, no!
No, I did too.
And I was like, because I thought for sure we were going to, like, watch him rip a heart out. I'm like, nope, not at the Terrifier, we're at Black Panther.
Yeah. But Terrifier is still playing.
Terrifier is still playing, check that out. Alright, so let's get right into it with our TV roundup.
No TV and no beer make Homer something.
Alright, so the first show we're going to talk about today is one that I had been wanting to watch, but just didn't get a chance to because we've been so busy, and now I don't think I need to because Netflix is already canceling it after one season. The show is called The Imperfects. It was gaining a lot of traction among horror fans, and now it's being compared to Archive 81, where it was starting to draw people in, and then canceled.
Yeah, I really liked Archive 81, and I wanted to keep watching it, but once I found out it didn't end, and it wasn't going to go anywhere,
it's just going to make me mad.
It's just going to make me mad. Right. So what's the point?
So here's what the show is about. If you do want to give it, I might still give it a shot. After undergoing an experiment that gives them monstrous side effects, Abby, Tilda, and Juan join forces to hunt down the scientist responsible and force him to make them human again.
Oh, I have heard of this.
Right, yeah, it sounds like a really cool show.
It was kind of superhero horror.
Exactly.
Like X-Men, but horror. Or
Werewolf by Night.
Werewolf by Night. You know what? I'd have to look into it. If the show ends, then I don't mind watching a limited series. That's fine. But if it leaves you on a cliffhanger, then there's no point, I say, in watching it.
Why make myself mad?
Yeah, because then you're just going to unless it gets manifest.
That's true.
Pick it up
maybe if we like it and we get enough people to like it, we can go to Netflix and be like, hey, and bully them into making it. But who knows? All right, so let's move on to a show that I also am I really am excited about, but I'm not sure it's going to happen because it's from HBO Max. Welcome to Derry. We've talked about that here before. Yeah. It's the prequel series to It. They finally, even though they've been in production, they finally hired two showrunners, Jason Fuchs and Brad Caleb Kane. Like I said, the show's currently in production, according to the reports I saw, but I just don't trust HBO right now, you guys. I just don't. Yeah. They've shelved completely finished projects. They've shelved almost finished projects. Who's to say that they're going to release this? Plus, they're running out of money. They only had enough money. If you watch our other show, Pop Culture News, we've talked about it there. DC, WB, HBO, they only had enough money to release 3 more movies this year.
And both of them didn't. Black Adam did not bring in the money they wanted it to. But the latest I heard is that Spielberg is coming out and speaking up against Warner Brothers now and saying that how they treated filmmakers is bullshit. And he's not wrong. Mm-hmm. So guess what? Spielberg's not going to work for Warner Brothers now. Right. Because why would he?
Right. That's why I'm excited by the thought of an It prequel series. I like the idea of Welcome to Derry. It's supposed to be set in the 60s, and it explores the backstory of Pennywise the Clown. Mm-hmm. But again, I won't believe it till I see it on my HBO Max ready for me to watch.
Exactly.
I just won't believe it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is also important to note that Stephen King has stated in interviews that he has nothing to do with this. So that's another kind of red flag. I don't know.
Although, they've always had to adapt it anyways because it's kind of a crazy book.
Well,
so.
There's a lot of drugs while he was writing that one, guys. But yeah, I like what they did with it, the new version. So if they can keep going off of that, I think it'll be successful.
I assume it's going to be based in that universe and not a new universe, or definitely not the old miniseries.
No,
but I assume
I believe that's what they're doing is they're building off, but in backwards. They're
exactly.
They're going back to the 60s, which I'm fine with.
Yeah,
that's
fine.
Cool.
Yeah. Get one of Skarsgård's brothers to play the part.
They all look weird, but handsome at the same time. Like, it's a weird family, weird genes, but I like it. All right, so let's move on to Trailer Park.
In a world.
All right, so this one got released, I think, today, because we're filming this Thursday.
Yeah.
I think it just got released today, if not yesterday. It's called Christmas, Bloody Christmas.
Yeah.
You sent it to me, but I had already seen it.
I want to see this so bad.
I know. It looks so good.
It looks amazing.
It's from writer-director Joe Begos, and it will be in theaters and on Shudder December 9th. Here's what it's about.
I may have to find this in theaters, because I think it'd be fun.
I think it'd be a fun theater one, yeah. So here's what it's about. It's Christmas Eve, and fiery record store owner Tori Toombs just wants to get drunk and party until the robotic Santa Claus at the nearby toy store goes haywire and makes her night a little more complicated. Santa Claus begins a rampant killing spree through the neon-drenched snowscape against a backdrop of drugs, sex, metal, and violence, ultimately forcing Tori into a blood-splattered battle for survival against the ruthless heavy metal Saint Nick himself. Why would you not see that movie?
It reminds me of like the Futurama with the evil Santa, but just...
Between this and the David Harbour one.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun,
I really want to see that one, too. Yeah. Bring horror to Christmas.
I'm telling you.
Christmas invades our holiday. You go invade theirs.
And I enjoy a good Christmas horror movie, whether it's Krampus, whether it's,
I like Silent Night, Deadly Night.
The first one is a classic for sure.
Yeah.
They went off the rails a little bit, but
yeah.
But still, Christmas, and horror, in my opinion, goes hand in hand. And I know I've got plans to do one at some point.
Oh, for sure. We've got an amazing Krampus costume, you guys.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to news. Alright, so I'm sure you've all seen Scream 6 has been pushed up with a new release date. This means they're either very confident or they just want to get it over with as quickly as possible.
Well, it's only 20 days different.
Right.
So my guess is that, it's probably...
Supposedly it's already in the can.
I believe that.
I'm nervous about that as well.
I'd be nervous if it was like locked, but if it's all shot and everything, I'm not surprised by that. But if it's locked, then, well, I mean, they don't have a big budget. It's a cheap movie. They may have been able to, especially if they're editing as they went, they may be done. I don't know. Right.
I don't have high hopes for this one.
No.
I am interested in a Sidney-less Scream. That's not my problem with this. My problem is why we have a Sidney-less Scream. That's bullshit. Yeah. But I'm not against a movie without Sidney in it.
No, eventually you have to move forward. And,
right. And it's not like, I don't hate that it's in New York or whatever. We've already had a movie outside Woodsboro, Scream 3.
Right.
And Scream 2, because they were in college.
Yeah,
so it's not like, it only takes place in Woodsboro. So, no, that's not my issue. It just seems like the first one, they didn't care. Like, they were like, we're going to do what we're going to do regardless of what fans did. And it did. It divided the fandom. You either loved Scream 2022 or you hated it. There's really no in between. I fall in the camp of I hated it. For several reasons. Go back and check our review.
Right. I hope it's called Scream Ghost Takes Manhattan. Ghostface Takes Manhattan,
Something cool. Yeah, because Scream 6 isn't the final. That's just the working title right now. We don't even have the...
They can't technically call it Scream 6. It's Scream... whatever, 2? Like, what is it, Well,
no, because it is still technically... Like, 5 was a soft reboot in that it still had to do with the original series. So it is technically 5.
Yes. But they should call it, like... They'll probably call it Scream with a subtitle. Like, Halloween Ends, Halloween, Is my guess.
Which would be bad. I think it should just be Scream 6. Scream 1, Scream 2, Scream 3. Like,
what if they called it Screams in the plural?
Someone out there, I don't know who makes fan films, but someone out there just needs to make a stab movie already. Like, that's what I want. Yeah. I want a stab movie.
I think that would have been the ultimate meta if they just called it Stab. But that would have been funny.
Alright, so let's move on from Scream to Jordan Peele and Monkey Paw Productions are starting a podcast. Oh. It's a fictional series called Quiet Part Out Loud. It launches on Spotify November 15th and will have 12 short-form episodes. It'll be starring Tracy Letts, Arian Moayed, Christina Hendricks, and Taran Killam, which I love Taran Killam.
So they're acting stories, like radio plays?
Yeah, it's going to be like, that's what some podcasts are now.
I've never listened. Honestly, I'll be transparent. I've never listened to one of those. I know they're popular. I know there's mysteries and all that kind of stuff, which is weird to me because it's like a throwback
listening to old radio shows.
Right.
Yeah, it's exactly what
But
it
it's
is.
also very clever. Like, I love watching the old radio show behind the scenes where you see them making the
I know,
noises
it's
and stuff. I love it.
amazing.
So if that's what they do, then I think that's very clever.
Exactly. And I guess Taron Killam's playing the bad guy.
I mean...
So here's what it's about. Again, remember that it's Jordan Peele, so. Set before the Trump presidency, the series follows Rick Egan, a fear-mongering right-wing radio host who loses his platform in the wake of 9/11 for spreading xenophobic rumors surrounding a group of missing Muslim teenagers. 8 years later, the washed-up Egan is slumming it on the convention circuit when a mysterious woman offers a tantalizing revelation. One of the missing teens has reappeared. Egan embarks on a crusade for vindication and ultimately makes a Faustian bargain with a demonic, shape-shifting sound monster known as the Blank, which thrives on hatred. So, yeah, Taron Killam is playing the Blank.
Okay. Interesting. I was picturing him as the politician.
No, he's playing the Blank.
Okay.
And then Christina Hendricks is the mysterious woman.
Yeah, I figured that, I guess.
So here's a quote from Jordan Peele to Variety. The aim is to deliver a haunting parable and an unflinching examination of the current state of fear and divisiveness in America that explores the roots of our conspiracy-obsessed culture where disinformation now runs rampant. He goes on to say, I'm always looking for new ways to explore and innovate in genre storytelling, and the potential in audio was tremendously appealing. By stripping horror of all its visuals, you can focus on just conjuring dread and unease in your listeners' ears on this intimate and visceral level. I wanted us to make the scariest podcast of all time.
Well, I mean, that should be the goal of any
Right.
podcast. But yeah, no, I mean, cool. I don't know, like... It makes me kind of wonder if that's something we should get into.
I'll tell stories.
Right. Well, we have lots of actors and stuff.
Yeah.
Who can come out and do things even long distance and be interesting.
It'd be fun.
Yeah.
We should try it one time.
Maybe.
When we've got more time. So, like, after the new year.
Yeah. So, like, never.
We're booked. All right. So, moving on to our next story. Netflix and Tender Claws are developing a Stranger Things VR game, and they've released a video announcement about it. Which we'll link to. A few details are known right now, but the game is expected to debut sometime next year. Stranger Things VR will put players in control of the show's main villain, Vecna. So you're playing as Vecna.
Interesting.
The developers say the new game will, quote, allow fans to experience the world of Stranger Things from the never-before-seen perspective of Vecna as he explores unknown realities, forms the hive mind, and enacts his plan for revenge against Eleven and Hawkins. Players will be able to invade the dreams and memories of fan-favorite characters and harness telekinetic powers to battle humans and creatures alike as Henry Creel's transformation into Vecna and his influence on the events of prior seasons is revealed.
So it's really an extension of the series, really.
Seems like it, yeah.
Like they're giving Vecna backstory.
Right.
You know, kind of.
More backstory.
More backstory, yeah.
So, I don't know. I'd like to play as a demon.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting. You'd have to see what the game's going to be like. I mean, I like games where you play as the villain. I think that's always fascinating, interesting.
Yep. I haven't played VR yet because we've got a helmet, but we want to do a show of me playing for the first time and be like, whoa.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, actually, I think we're going to probably dabble with that in the month or so because we're going to do a VR Christmas one, so.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And we'll probably put some of that stuff up on our other channel, other channel, Notebook Games.
Yes,
check that out.
Exactly.
All right, so our final story. Second Sight Publishing and John Jennings Studio LLC have announced the release of Shook, a black horror anthology. It'll be a 160-page horror anthology collecting EC-style stories by a range of award-winning black writers. They have a planned release for their backers in March 2023, and then mainstream distribution to stores will be 3 months after their Kickstarter release. So we always want to hear from all voices in horror, so definitely check out their Kickstarter, see what it's about, share it if you can't afford to help them out, just share it.
That's a huge help if you just share it around if you can't afford it, because believe me, I get it, you know?
Yep.
But just sharing people's, either their actual art or sharing their campaigns to make art.
It really helps.
It might get it in front of somebody's eyes who can help.
Exactly. So check that out. Again, we'll leave the description and the link below. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Let's move on to Indie Film Spotlight.
My advice to young filmmakers, make a movie every week. Make films, no matter what anybody says, and you'll be a filmmaker.
So this one got me on the title. The title is It's Not Custard. And then I totally decided to this was going to be our movie because it's so gross, you guys.
I mean, spoiler alert, it's not custard.
It's not custard. It's so gross, you guys. It's Not Custard is on the Alter YouTube channel. Again, we've talked about Alter a lot. They've got great content there from a variety of different filmmakers, all horror. Check them out.
Also, I love the way they have the narrator in this
I
one.
do too. I love the narrator.
When I was
so
first
funny.
watching it, I thought, okay, they're going to do like a horror Christmas story thing or something.
This is from writer-director Kate McCoy, starring Charlotte Luxford, Kate Laper, Will Cox, and the voice of Donald Cox as the narrator.
Is that who it was? Okay.
I don't know, but he was great.
Yeah.
So here's what they say it's about. It's Not Custard is the darkly comic story of Louise, a teenager suffering with dual blows of unrelenting acne and continually bullying. At home from her cruel sister Jennifer, and at school from bully Wayne. She wishes to quiet those who bother her, to cease their teasing, and she is presented with such an opportunity when she awakens to find her acne gone. This magical gift has a bizarre consequence that grants her the most delicious of revenges.
Okay, I don't know if that's how I would describe it, but I'm glad they did because I don't know how I would describe this movie because it's. I thought it was like a bully horror revenge tale, but then I don't know.
It's so gross.
Yeah, I don't want to give anything away. You kind of have to experience it, but
since they said it deals with acne, I will say if you are one of those people that enjoys the videos of cysts and pimples and anything getting popped, you're gonna like that.
I think pus is next to eyeballs for me. Like, eyeball pus is the worst. But I think pus coming out of things, I don't know, is disgusting. And when I was a kid, I had zits and things like crazy. I remember popping them and shit. But, I don't know. Like, this is probably, I wasn't, like, throwing up or anything on it, but, like, there were some of the shots I just like, okay, turned away, like, got it, yep, got it. But
I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
I did not turn away. Delightfully disgusting.
Out of context, I'm going to say this. It reminded me of, and this is a gross story, but when I was a kid, my brother and I used to think it was funny to wipe our noses on the top of our van's roof. Because it was a cloth interior and stuff. It was like a conversion van.
Gross.
We were very gross. And we just thought it was, we did it until our mom caught on and then yelled at us and then it stopped. But why? I don't know. But the fact that it involves the wall, and then that's what it reminded me of. And I was getting that visual and I was like, it was so gross then. It's gross now.
Yeah.
But enjoy it.
Enjoy, guys.
But you know what? You're not going to see a lot of horror movies with the same premise.
Nope.
So kudos to her because she made something that a lot of people can relate to that is horrifying, especially growing up. And I'm sure she was probably bullied by it. And, so, yeah. Kudos to horror is not just stabbing and murder and that's
why I love doing these indie film spotlights because we get to bring you guys kind of the other ideas that are in horror. All right. So that's our indie film spotlight. Join us on Sunday. We'll be here with pop culture news. Lots to talk about there.
As usual.
And
we'll have a Black Panther review coming up shortly too.
So. Monday, I believe, we'll have that out because we went and saw that today, as we said at the top of the show.
Forever.
It's amazing. Wakanda forever.
All right, guys. So while you're down there and checking out our links, please make sure you subscribe and like this video
ring the bell,
so you get notifications of those new videos because we are back. We're going to be making videos consistently, so at least until Christmas. So
until we get tired.
So on that note, I think I've taken up enough of your time. I'm going to go shut up now.
All right, and I'm going to go talk over here.
All right, bye.
Have you heard from the boys down at the scene yet?
They're still down there counting bodies.